Hello students. When we talked about the 5-paragraph essay YouTube videos, which I assigned earlier, I asked students which one was the easiest and which was the hardest. The most common answer I got for which was the hardest was thesis statements. So I'm going to spend a little more time talking about what makes a good thesis statement and a set of questions you can ask to make your thesis statements better, so that you can improve your thesis statements. Because of all the parts of a 5-paragraph essay, thesis statements, I would say, are the place where a little extra work, a little extra time, and a little extra effort will benefit you the most. Because a good thesis statement makes your essay easier to write, it helps you focus your thoughts, and it also helps your reader to follow your ideas when they're reading about them. So in that thesis statements video, below it in the video notes, there was a handout, a paper that you could download and print. And we're going to start with that because this is a document I've used a number of times to teach. And it explains thesis statements, it gives examples, and at the bottom it gives a group of thesis statements with problems. We're going to first talk about a set of questions you can ask for good thesis statements, and then we're going to go through these examples and try to figure out what the problems are with each one. Now, to get the best benefit from this video, take that handout, which is linked in the YouTube notes, download it, print it, and try to figure out these problems yourself before I go through them. Okay, so now we're going to look at a set of questions you can ask to check if your thesis statement is doing what it's supposed to. And after that, we'll go through those example thesis statements one by one and ask those questions about each of them to see where their weaknesses are. And hopefully this will help you to look at your own thesis statements, figure out their weaknesses, and fix them. Now, the first question you should ask of any thesis statement is it the last sentence of my paragraph? If your thesis statement is the last sentence of your first paragraph, that's where it belongs. Anyone who's been trained in 5-paragraph essay writing, and pretty much all of your professors have, will know that the best place for a thesis statement is the final sentence of the first paragraph at the end of the introduction. Okay? If it's somewhere else, people might not notice it, people might have trouble finding it, and the fact is, when people want to know what is this person's thesis, that's where they look. So don't hide it. Why make your essay harder for your reader to read and follow? Put it where it belongs, at the end of the first paragraph, at the end of the introduction. Second question, and we won't look at examples for this because this is, we could look at entire paragraphs. The fact is, this is where your thesis statement belongs. Next question. Does the thesis statement clearly state the topic? If you are talking about something in your thesis statement, name that thing. Instead of saying they are in danger, just say the oceans are in danger. Instead of saying it causes 3 problems, say smoking causes 3 problems. Just name the topic as clearly as you can so that your reader knows here's what the essay is about. Here are some examples. It ruins body rhythms, it suppresses the immune system, and it reduces mental focus. Your reader might skip to the final sentence of your first paragraph to see what the whole essay is about. So when we take lack of sleep out of the thesis statement, we're just making it harder for the reader to find the main topic. So, name the topic. Lack of sleep ruins body rhythms, it suppresses the immune system, and it reduces mental focus. Okay? Make sure that your thesis statement clearly says the topic of your essay. because people look for it there. Next question. Does the thesis take a clear position? In the other video, we said a good thesis statement does not try to look at both sides of something. When you're writing an academic essay, it's usually best to take one position, take one side, and argue for it confidently. If you don't, you seem indecisive, or your essay will get really long if you try to explain all different views of an issue in a single essay. So take a position. I'm for it, I'm against it. Okay? Now, for and against is not the only position you can take. In fact, I don't recommend it because it's a little too simple. You won't get too much high quality thinking out of that kind of position, or at least less than other positions, but take a clear position. So instead of staying up late is good for some kinds of creative work, but not other kinds, that thesis is trying to have it both ways. It's trying to be for it and against it at the same time. Okay, don't do that. The first university should be a time of building friendships, but also focusing on grades. Choose to write an essay about how the first year of university students should focus on grades, or choose to write an essay about how first year university students should work on building friendships. Trying to do both doesn't make a better essay in most cases. Third question. Are the topic and position in simple language? Keep your thesis statement simple. We're not trying to impress people with our vocabulary here. We're trying to impress people with high quality thinking. So, keep your topic and position in simple language. Now, I'll give you an example of a thesis statement where they put more focus on using big fancy words than on clearly explaining their topic and position. Listen to this. Among the variety of common house pets popular worldwide, Felis catus, for various reasons to be explained forthwith, is a superior human companion to Canis lupus familiaris, particularly pertaining to temperament, taciturnity, and immaculateness. Now, maybe I'm proud of myself for finding all those hard words in the thesaurus, but to be honest, I'm probably not fooling anyone. Most people reading a thesis statement like this will probably say, this guy has a thesaurus. So what? It's always better to be clear and make sure that your reader understands exactly what you mean. So here's a much better thesis statement with the exact same topic. Cats are better pets than dogs because they are gentle, quiet, and clean. Nobody will get confused about that one. And that's why it's a better thesis statement. Okay, don't get fancy. Be simple and clear. It really is more effective. Next question. Could intelligent people actually disagree about this with good reasons? I said before in the other video, a thesis statement should be arguable or controversial, which means it should be the kind of topic where people can disagree and have good reasons to disagree. Okay, and that's what we're talking about here, is could an intelligent person, not a person who distrusts experts, not a person who doesn't believe or understand science, not a person who's full of superstition and conspiracy theories, but a thoughtful, intelligent person, could they disagree about this topic and have good reasons? Okay, so one thing to look at is my topic controversial? The other thing is, make sure your topic isn't obvious. If an intelligent person would look at your thesis statement and say, of course, obviously, it's also not a good thesis statement because it's not controversial. Okay, so, for example, a thesis statement like, fast food is unhealthy, or it's important to exercise regularly and eat well, or mental health is important. Well, Of course it's important. Of course it's important to exercise regularly and eat well. Of course fast food is unhealthy. These are not topics where you need to persuade your reader. So your reader might kind of get bored on a topic like this. So here are some topics. Most of these kinds of topics, these obvious topics, if you look a little deeper, you can find a way to talk about it that's a little more nuanced, a little more complex, where people actually will disagree, or at least where people will learn something new. So for example, instead of fast food is unhealthy, though everyone knows it is unhealthy, fast food chains remain popular because of branding, familiarity, and consistency. So instead of just saying fast food is healthy or unhealthy, we're looking a little closer at, well, everybody knows it's unhealthy, so why is fast food still so popular? That is an interesting question that's worth exploring. Another one, though everyone knows fast food is unhealthy, the fast food industry is an impressive achievement in huge-scale distribution, advertising, and quality control. So now we're going against the popular opinion, the one everybody says, well, obviously it's unhealthy. And instead of attacking fast food again, just like everybody else, we are going against the popular opinion and kind of challenging it. Well, everybody criticizes fast food, but here are some impressive things about it. Here's a new way of thinking about it. And if you can give your reader a new way of thinking about something, you're doing really well. You've chosen a great topic. Here's another one. Instead of it's important to exercise and eat well, it's important to exercise regularly and eat well. For someone taking their first steps in getting healthy, Pilates is a great start because it's easy to learn, relaxing, and shows results quickly. This goes into detail. It gives your reader something they might not already know. And that makes it a better topic than it's important to exercise regularly and eat well. Okay? If you're not sure about your topic, one of the best things to do is get more specific. Mental health is important. Well, instead of something like that, how about, while professional help is sometimes required, some simple everyday activities that improve mental health include getting enough sleep, socializing, and planning enjoyable activities. Each of these uncontroversial thesis statements are improved when we get more specific, when we look deeper into the details of the topic. The other nice thing about going more into the details of a topic is it's a little easier to research when you have a narrow, focused topic. You won't get overwhelmed by details and by things to learn because it's a smaller topic. You know when to stop reading, when you know when you've found enough information. Next, is the position specific and focused? Okay, be specific and be focused. Now, we already looked at being specific and focused in the last one, but I'm putting it in a separate question because that really is how important it is. So, hiking in Korea is great because of nice views, exercise, and Koreans' hiking culture. That's not a terrible thesis statement, but views, exercise, and culture are three quite different areas. And this thesis statement covers a lot of territory. So you might want to make it more specific and more focused by choosing one of those three. Focus on the views, focus on exercise, or focus on the culture. So for example, when hiking in Korea, the best views are on Sorak Mountain, Taebaek Mountain, and Jiri Mountain. Or Korea's hiking culture features friendly people, fresh food, and traditional alcohol. Okay, this is more specific because I've chosen one part of the hiking experience and focused on it more deeply. Always make your thesis statement deeper and more focused if you can. Have I avoided overstating my position? And we said before, don't make your thesis statement too strong because that makes it hard to defend and easy to attack. And the example I gave was that if you say all Canadians like ice hockey, you only need to find one Canadian who doesn't like ice hockey to make me incorrect. So let's make sure that we avoid, or we're very careful about using words like always, never, none, every, each. Those kinds of words make it much easier for people to attack your thesis. So here are two examples. Everybody thinks climate change is one of the most urgent problems facing the world today. Just by saying everybody, you only need to find one person who disagrees. BTS is the greatest band Korean culture has ever produced. By using words like greatest, the EST, the superlative, or the word ever, means you're picking a fight with Japanese BoA fans, God fans from a little while ago, Sotaeji fans, and if you go back further, older generations who really love Shin Jung-hyun or Jo Yong-pil or Kim Kwang-seok, my generation. So if you say BTS is a great band, if you say BTS is an important band, if you say BTS is the most successful Korean band globally that Korea has ever produced, by being more specific, it's easier to defend that because maybe they've sold more records or made more television appearances. And that data is something you can find. But using the absolute, the greatest Korean culture has ever produced just makes it easier to attack your position. Have I also avoided understating my position? You don't want to sound weak or unsure of your topic. It is okay in academic work to be uncertain about something. In fact, it's good to let your reader know exactly how confident you are and where your confidence ends. But in your thesis statement, when you're stating your position at the beginning, show that you're confident in your position. So, for example, here are some that do a bad job. People who are addicted to gambling might be at risk to have problems in other areas of life. Why is that might there? I think we can say that pretty confidently. People who are addicted to gambling are at risk to have problems in other areas of life. Some would think that drinking alcohol and then driving is possibly a little dangerous and could perhaps be considered irresponsible. Well, maybe we can just be confident in our position and say, drinking and driving is dangerous and irresponsible. If there is uncertainty about that, I don't think there is. If there's uncertainty about a position, we can explain that in the rest of our essay. But in your thesis statement, be confident. Is there a preview of my main supporting ideas? Make sure that your reader knows what to expect in your supporting paragraphs. And the way to do that is with a preview. So, the example here is a bad one. It is not easy to become popular in high school. Well, maybe that's true. But I've given the reader very little information here. So I want my reader to know what to expect next. So saying something like, being popular in high school takes social skills, but also free time and money. Now my reader knows I'm going to have a paragraph about social skills, I'm going to have a paragraph about free time, and I'm going to have a paragraph about money. This thesis statement tells my reader what to expect in the following paragraphs, and you always want to tell your reader what to expect next. Another one, hiking in Korea is great. Well, maybe it is, but there are so many different ways I could discuss that further and explain that. So this thesis statement doesn't really give me much information. Okay, and to give more detail, we could go back up to the examples we had earlier. Okay, we could talk about the views. We could talk about the friendly people, fresh food, and traditional alcohol. Okay, but we need something. We need more detail than hiking in Korea is great. Okay, give your reader a preview of what they can expect. Does the preview use parallel form? Now, parallel form is a little tricky, but here's an example. Korea's hiking culture features meeting friendly people, eat, and drunk. Those three supporting ideas, it's nice to have three supporting ideas, but those three supporting ideas they're put in such different ways, it's hard to understand the connection between them. So what we always want to do, we have an ing verb, an adjective, and a noun in one of them, and then we have a verb in the next and an adjective in the next one. Okay, well, let's pick one of those and make all three the same way. Korea's hiking culture will make people happy, full, and drunk. Now, it is adjective, adjective, adjective. Or, Korea's hiking culture is full of smiles, food, and alcohol. Now we have three nouns. It's parallel, and that makes the sentence sound nicer. Those who fully experience Korea's hiking culture meet, eat, and drink. Again, just by having three verbs, and each is one word, we have a parallel form in our preview. Finally, have I avoided giving too much detail? Korea's hiking culture is full of smiles, particularly among friendly seniors. Food, for example, mountain vegetable bibimbap and different kinds of jeon, and sweet alcohols like makgeolli or soju with mixers. Well, I can spend my supporting paragraphs talking about friendly seniors, food like bibimbap, and alcohol like makgeolli. I don't need to write about it in my thesis statement. That's what the supporting paragraphs are for. And finally, is the thesis statement one sentence, two at the absolute maximum? Keep your thesis statement simple. If you can say it in one sentence, that's often the best. If you have to put it into two sentences, for example, saying, Korea's hiking culture is great. Hikers enjoy friendly people, delicious food, and tasty drinks. Now that's two sentences, but it's still clear and simple. The reason I recommend putting it in one sentence is just because if you can simplify your idea into one sentence, you have a clear, focused idea. And sometimes once people say, well, I can do it in two sentences, I can do it in three sentences, that's when their thinking gets too complex and it gets harder to write. Or their thinking might be unfocused, and that's why they can't fit it into one sentence. So slow down, focus your thinking, keep your thinking clear. So those are the 11 questions you can ask to make sure your thesis statement is really excellent. In fact, we're going to simplify two of those and say, instead of have I avoided overstating and have I avoided understating, we're going to put that into one. Have I avoided overstating or understating my position? And that gives us 10 key questions for a good thesis statement. In the next video, we're going to look at these 10 questions, and we're going to look at the example thesis statements from the document that's linked in the video notes. So if you want to stop and print that document and try to figure out the problems in each of the thesis statements before you watch the next video, go right ahead. If you want to just go right into the next video, that's fine too.